Henshin a go baby, what's good guys? Yoku here, and this video is literally right off the dome. However, all the information that I'm spitting in this video is from me pretty much watching and studying all day when it comes to Honkai Star Rail. There's been a few points of discussion going around the community lately that the 4-star characters are like the best, they're super free to play friendly, yada yada, this and that. I have a whole different video that I'm going to be talking about. You'll see the eye bubble here whenever it's ready, on whether or not I think the game is actually free to play friendly, and you can check that out. In today's video, I'm pretty much going to be talking to you guys about the importance of 5-star characters. I understand that not everybody's going to be able to get these. I understand that it might seem like well territory, even though it's not. But if you listen to me, you'll understand quickly. There's a huge difference between what's going on in CBT 2 versus what we have currently in CBT 3. And as the final beta and MiHoYo's track record, it is very, how do I say, very much likely that this is the version of the game we will be getting April 26th. So just literal seconds ago, I was talking to Moon and we were going over the different 5-stars, and we're going over what was going on with 4 stars and how there was some rumors or talks going around the 4 stars were being constantly nerfed or buffed or whatever the case may be. And yes, that is true. I can try to show you guys some footage here, but everything I won't have because I was not a part of the previous beta. I can only go off the footage and the players who were available to that. And the gameplay that I'm showing right now is going to be from EOD Gamer, if I'm not mistaken. And in this beta, I'll use as an example, Natasha was healing for well over 1000 HP off of her ultimate, versus now she heals nowhere near 1000 HP without you having to try and max her out, right? You need a bunch of relics on her. You need some buffs, you need some simulated universe, whatever's going on. But in order for you to start healing for 1000 plus HP every single time you pop your ultimate, your Natasha needs to be right, like double D's. Your Natasha needs to be up there, okay? And that's just one of the things. Outta used to be, if I'm not mistaken, her speed used to be super increased, and she also used to give you, I think at a base value, 45 or 50% for the speed boost that she does on her ultimate, and now it's a 26% or 25%, something like that, practically reduced in half. I could be wrong on the actual number there, but I do know that all of the 4 stars that we consider good or very strong or broken, or these are the free-to-play friendly, or you know, the ones that you really want to focus on, all of these 4-star characters are being nerfed severely. And it's not them nerfing these characters to force you to pull for 5-star characters. I know that somebody's going to say that, or they're going to think that. That's not the case here. What I believe MiHoYo is doing is they're trying to prevent another incident like Genshin Impact. I say this all the time, and there are only so few people who agree with me because they don't think that the Genshin Impact incident, they don't believe it was an incident. Nowhere in the book of gacha games would they ever make a Bennett on purpose. Bennett is cracked. Chingsho is cracked. Sucrose now is just, I'm not gonna say she's cracked, but she's good. The main 4 stars in Genshin Impact, the main ones, I don't mean like, you know, a Noelle, right? Yeah, you can make Noelle really good, but no one talks about Noelle for a reason. I'm talking about the main 4 stars that you have in the game. They are a mistake. They were not intended to be as strong, as beneficial, as relevant to this day as they are. And so with this new game, Star Rail, it's very clear, like, right, MiHoYo is actively trying to make sure that that does not happen again. Natasha was very strong in CBT 2. Outta was very strong, and speed is king when it comes to turn-based games. So she off rip is already strong as a unit. There's only, they have to fine-tune Outta. If they mess up Outta, she's gonna be a bad character. Like, don't even bother using her. And because of that, you can't touch her so much, right? They have to leave her base values the way they are, as far as the speed goes, as far as her ultimate goes, things like that. In CBT 2, Dan Heng was a great single target DPS, and he's still solid, don't get me wrong, but he's not hitting for 5,599 damage off of a crit hit or whatever at level 30, level 40, things like that. Like, he is not as strong as he was in CBT 2. Serval is not as strong as she was. Herta is not as strong as she was. March 7th, her defense is not as high as it was. The main character is not as strong as he was, or she was, depending on which, you know, main character you're playing. Main point being is that they've all been nerfed, not severely, but nerfed to a point where it's very clear, pick this 5-star character. If there is a 5-star version of Asta, for instance, right? Let's use Himiko. I know this isn't a thing, but I'm gonna use it as an example. Let's say that Asta was a 4-star version of Himiko. They have done to a point where Himiko's stats would be double of what Asta is. That's what it was prior to, right? So they're managing things, they're balancing things, but as of right now, they've buffed some 5-star units. They've, balanced them. They've changed some things, changed some values here and there to a point where the 5 stars are 5 stars and the 4 stars are 4 stars. And something that I've been trying to push the narrative for when it comes to the game is going against the grain here. The game isn't not free to play friendly, right? I understand that, a lot of free to play players, you're looking for that, right? Whether or not the game is free to play friendly. I'm not saying it's not free to play friendly, right? Like it's the horrible thing. I'm saying there's a huge importance on characters. And now that we have this information, the numbers behind the game, as far as what's been nerfed, what's been changed, the different values, now I can confidently say there is a huge importance on 5-star characters. There will be a huge importance on 5-star characters. Natasha is a great healer for free. Then you're going to get into the ballpark where it's like, oh, Bailu is better because Bailu applies not only healing, but she also applies damage reduction. Okay, cool. I want that now because that removes my necessity for a shielder. Japard shields in the same way that March 7th does, except he shields everyone on the team, right? It's not one by one by one by one. It's everyone all at once. So now you have to go into that. And if I'm not mistaken, Japard also has an ability where when he dies, he brings himself back to life, like a revive. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty positive that's what that is, but if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. It's a-okay. The lightning god, man, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was absolutely busted. And we don't have him in the beta right now, but somehow people have figured out those numbers. And he's been severely nerfed, going from an attack stat of 1900, somewhere around there, to a little under 1,000 or a little over 1,000, but it's right around 1,000 for his new attack stat. Over 900 attack point values gone, just like that. Kafka was nerfed. Zila was nerfed by a little bit. She went from, I think, 1900 or 1400 attack stat to also roughly around 1,000. And so these numbers, these values are big in terms of what they're changing, but they're changing them to try and keep everything as balanced as possible. So there's not a huge, like, bam, power creep as soon as the game starts. 5-star characters, the only thing that matters. If you don't get 5 stars, your account's trash, it's worthless. They're trying their best not to do that. And as of right now, I think we're gonna get to a point very quickly when the game comes out, you're gonna have like 2 sides, right? The free-to-play players who are purely free-to-play and they're also unlucky and they don't get 5 stars that are worth a damn, or 5 stars that they're looking for. Now they have a hard time building teams, or they're forced to build teams around this character that they don't want until they can save up and get a new character, potentially a character that they do want. You're also going to have the other side of things where they get the characters that they want and it's better for them. So there's a clear cut, like, I blow through everything. I dominate the board. I play the game the way I want. I leave it on auto. Whatever excuse or thing or gloat they want to do, it's gonna be there. Those are your whales, of course, but I try not to include whales into a lot of the conversations that I talk about because it's unrealistic. When we look into Star Rail and you sit down and you look at this game from an RPG perspective, there is a lot of strategy that goes into mine. And there are a lot of things that I've noticed a bunch of players ignoring, right? Team comp being one of them. It's not the same type of team comp from Genshin Impact. The teams don't work the same. Maybe if you want to think about it in that way of the mentality, sure, but they don't work that same way, right? You don't need a healer and a shielder. I know you don't need that in Genshin Impact, but I'm saying in this game in particular, you don't need both. But I've seen people promoting both. I've seen people saying, oh yeah, March 7th plus Natasha on the same team is great. It's awesome. You don't need it. In fact, you probably don't want it. And you can build these teams, right? Your different comps, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. If I'm trying to go through Simulated Universe World 3, okay, great. I know that I can blitz through this no problem, but maybe I want something to help me blitz through it faster. I want a debuffer, I want a buffer, I want a healer, I want a shielder, because I'm not worried about taking a lot of damage, but I do want to be able to protect myself from these very powerful attacks from these bosses that happen in the universe, right? Or if I'm playing Forgotten Hall, I want to clear a floor, or I want to clear the Forgotten Hall in 3 turns or less. Well, guess what? I'm not really worried about a healer at that point because I want to blitz through the enemy. So I need a buffer, I need a debuffer, and probably another debuffer, or an AoE plus single target DPS, whatever the case may be. You build your teams around the thing that you're trying to accomplish. There is not going to be a one team stomps all team day one, right? Like, that's not how that works. Maybe because somebody's going to get super lucky, but there's so much that's going to go into the game. Relics, your light cone, whether or not you have that or not, the talent tree, whether or not you're building a certain talent tree the right way, the RNG, right? If you get certain buffs in the universe versus you don't, all of that RNG applies to how you're able to play the game. And no one person, like no one player is going to be able to copy another one player. You're going to see your favorite content creator, they're going to do something, or they're going to be like, oh, this is the best way to do this. And you're going to try and do it, and it's not going to work because you cannot 1-for-1 RNG. It just doesn't work that way. No matter what you do, you have to get insanely lucky to get something similar to what they're showing off or better, but at a very basic value, right? A base understanding of how the game works, the characters, everything like that. 4-star characters are great in their own lane, and 5-star characters are going to be what really carries a lot of things forward. Now, admittedly, before I end this off, there are some 4-star characters that are like still really damn good by themselves. I don't remember her name, the girl with the chicken and the physical attacker, right? She's great. Her to late game, when you can actually build her, fantastic, awesome. I understand now why she's so good, and it's a late game thing. It's not really early game because she's not doing damage, but it's a late game thing. Serval when it comes to DOT, Sampo when it comes to DOT, those two work insanely well together, but you need to be able to build them. So a lot of these characters early on will feel weak compared to the 5-star characters, but later on they will complement the 5-star characters, and you'll also get more characters because we're going to get new releases that complement these characters as well. But that's it. That's all I want to tell you guys in regards to the importance of 5 stars. I know it was a giant ramble, but it is what it is. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments down below. Let's start this discussion. Let's start this conversation, and let me know your thoughts and opinions on whether or not you've played the beta, if you agree about 5 stars being pretty important, or if you think the game is going to be piss easy and you can blow through with every 4-star in the game. I can't say my user outro because it's inappropriate for YouTube. Smell you later.